afraid. Be very afraid. Hey, welcome back and thanks for joining me. So glad you could be here. This is the 100th episode, the 100th video. This is cause for celebration. Learned a lot in the first 100 videos. 100 videos. 100. Can you believe that? We're going to have some more travel. We're going to keep going with the Talking Tuesdays because they work really well. And of course, we're going to build the 72. The critics are in, and they're using words like torturous, painful to watch, cringeworthy. That's cool. I understand. I cringe when I watch it. I cringe when I think about doing it. But we'll figure it out. It's all going to be good. You know, if y'all want to come over and put this bike together, what'll it take? 2-3 days? You can build and I'll video. And my subscribership has just about exploded. And I want to thank each and every one of you. I definitely want to thank those people who have given me shout outs. I'm convinced that word of mouth is the best way to grow a channel. So if you could all share these videos with somebody who you think might want to subscribe, that'd be awesome. But I definitely appreciate all of you. Today I want to talk about fear. Irrational fear, actually. And I say irrational because of this. You know, it's one thing to have a fear of touching a hot stove because experience tells you that if you keep touching a hot stove, you're going to burn yourself. That's a rational fear. That's a fear that protects us and keeps us safe. That's a tangible fear that makes sense. What I want to talk about are those fears that don't really make sense and unfortunately control our lives. Every time I start watching documentaries about wars and things like that, it really strikes me and I'm amazed at how much time and energy and effort we've put into killing each other. Not all the time, but often it's senseless. It's based off of fears. And I've recently started watching the Ken Burns special, the PBS special on the Vietnam War, and it's been educational. There's a lot of politics involved that I had no idea about. I mean, it really goes back to the end of World War II. You know, the second war to end all wars. But as you watch the special, you start seeing this theme of the emerging communist threat. Of course, you go back to the McCarthy days when there was a communist under every rock, and it's all fear, you know. Your neighbor could be a communist. It's ironic now that half the people in Washington now are communists, but apparently McCarthy wasn't completely wrong. So many resources were diverted to Vietnam because of the communist threat and the fear of the communists spreading into that part of South Asia. Now, because I like to be an educated person, you know, I've read the Communist Manifesto. I think on paper, it's a wonderful idea that everybody shares equally. Unfortunately, communism, like every other system, is flawed as soon as you add people. People will game the system. You know, we don't want to work. We don't want to share. So communism is a flawed system. And I got to tell you, democracy, yeah, flawed system. People have learned to game the system. And I don't want to get into a lot of politics because, well, I just don't want to do that on this channel. But we see it from both sides. And they're going to come to power and they're going to want to keep it. That's human nature. That's why most democracies don't last over 200 years. I sometimes wonder if maybe people are trying to inject some level of socialism into our democracy to get us past that 200-year lifespan of most democracies. I don't know. It's just a theory. But I've come to figure out that it's a different side of the same coin. No matter what you do, there's always going to be somebody at the top who is lording over everybody else. They're going to be the ruling class. Communism is no different. And I completely forgot where I was going with that. Oh, so we get back to fear. And we see it everywhere. Fear, you know, fear pushed us through I don't know how many wars. And according to this documentary, you know, Kennedy knew we weren't going to win. Kennedy knew it was a losing proposition. Johnson knew it was a losing proposition. But they made choices based on their fear of not being reelected, fear of losing their power and their position, fear. That fear of this, that, or the other. And we see it still. We see it in matters of health insurance, immigration. Everything we're sold today is sold to some degree through fear. You know, if you don't get this toothpaste, you won't be attractive. Fear. And we're sold stuff on fear all the time. Different laws that we pass, not just sold as products, but sold on ideologies and ideas and things that could happen. Oh, don't even get me going on the insurance business. That's all fear, 100% fear. You know, all this squabbling over healthcare stops us from getting real answers because we're afraid. And we're afraid in the sense that if you start talking about compromise, if I give the other side an inch, they're going to take a mile. If I give them anything, they'll railroad me. It's fear. And it stops progress. You know, you look at immigration, fear. Now, there are valid points for and against immigration. But what we hear most of is fear. What we're sold on is fear because it works. It's an effective tool. But they say stuff is an issue when it impacts how you act or how you live your life. And I think when you're creating wars and stuff over it, it's an issue. I think if it stops any kind of productive dialogue, when it forms your opinions and you're not even willing to listen to anybody else, I don't know, nowadays it seems like fear turns into anger. That's not going to be a good time for anybody. Well, it will for some, because somebody's going to be sitting on top of that pile. As I get older, I'm trying to look at things through the lens of, you know, how much of this is driven by fear and how much of it is realistic fear, or how much of it is just being afraid of what could happen possibly someday. Oh no, you don't want to do this because, you know, this could happen. Well, I don't want to get on my motorcycle because I could get hit by a meteor. It could happen. It's not going to stop me. I could get in an accident. Well, I could. And I wish we could stop letting our fears dictate how we act, what we do, and how we make decisions. You know, I think, I've said it before, that I think most people are kind of middle of the road, centrists. And a lot of this noise, the conspiracy theorist in me says, I wonder how much of this noise is created just to keep us not focused on the real things. So anyways, that's my talk. That's about fear. Once again, I want to thank everybody for supporting me. 100th episode. Welcome to season 2 of this channel. I was telling my wife this morning I should pick up a channel for a slogan for the channel. The revolution starts here. I gotta think somebody's got that one already. But anyways, once again, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you being here. Like, share, comment, subscribe, etc. Have a donut. You know, once you notice it, you see it more. Kind of like that car that you want to buy that everybody else is driving now. One final thought. How many of us don't do things in our own personal lives or start ventures or be artistic out of fear? Take that one with you.